Okay, time for a bonus video. When market conditions suffice to such, then I can do it. 7,910 I just seen a split second ago. The highest levels this has been at is 7,960, however. Yeah, we'll get to the short term in a little bit. It's a little bit. 1 minute term. It's a crazy, crazy market. For have I seen a pattern like this before? Where it goes up, then it has a little bit of move below the 18 like this, and then it shoots right back up to this level here. On the single hour term time frame, the market, that was that pattern I'm talking about. Well, in this case, it broke resistance and it's now already been a significant, decently noticeable leg higher towards such. Volume for this hour in here was big. But was it when we look back? Yeah, yeah, it was. It's the biggest hourly volume that it's had. But that's on this exchange, not on the other ones. This is just where I think a lot of the money went into for this most recent leg higher. Let's move this to a Bitstamp exchange because I want to do a bunch of drawing on here. And this one's at 79.60 right now. 1 minute term. Might look a little bit different because when Coinbase hit its high, it was a little bit higher because this isn't 79.60, this is 78.70, so there was about a 1.2% arbitrage for a short period of time. And well, up she goes. And the volume on here, as we can see on the hour, well, I don't see any. There's the volume. We compare it to volume before. Yeah, I guess it's still kind of significant. I didn't think it was. When I looked at it earlier before doing this video, I looked at it, it was like, well, that's probably why, maybe because I was looking at it like that. I was like, no, it's just standard volume here, but good volume still nonetheless, but it's probably to be expected when you have such an event. So how much resistance was there at previous high this last time? At least on this exchange? Well, on the 1 minute time frame, really hardly any at all. Actually, on Coinbase, you would see on Coinbase it went up, down, and broke it. But yeah, so that's where that stands. Let's talk more about this failed move, as I want to talk about really the completion of it now because it's looking more towards that might be the situation. I need to have a range for where we congested between, and where would I look to go towards? And in here, the line that I chose in my analysis is I think I like right here, and that is the area for where it found support in here. It's where it resisted here. It's where it completely resisted this point. So to me, this from the point where it left here, that's pretty much where it spent its entire congestion. And that is the area I'm looking for it to. If it's gonna, well, let's put it this way: if we're gonna have failed move, fast move, you got the stages of you're able to draw some sort of box like this, a square, rectangle, whatever type of box. There we have it. And then it doesn't resist or resist very little at the neckline of the big support it broke. And then it just stays within the congestion area for like a few periods or a little bit of time. When you see that pattern in itself, that usually means a big move is coming, but not always does it even do that. Because if you're not going to find resistance here, then it's going to be towards the next level. And that's really what I want to focus on here is that. So then, let's talk about what happens if we don't find resistance where we're supposed to. And to do this, I got to go back to the, dang it. I have to go back to the Coinbase exchange, but I'll show you how I put my indicators on here since I have to put them back in. I haven't done that in like so long. So first I want volume. There we go. And then I want a moving average weighted. I want two of them. So moving average, I've already passed it. I like weighted. I click it twice, once and twice. So I'm going to edit this. Settings, I want 18. I want high. Oh, one high, one low. And I want the color blue. That's, I feel like changing it up. I'm going to go a small dash of purple. Yep, that's what I'm going to do. I feel a little wild, on the wild side. Okay. So this one here, that same small dash of purple. Let's do 18 and the last one of low. This might look a lot freaky now when we look at the 18 now. There we have it. It's not quite as blue as it was before. When you go straight up like this, you are so overextended. Which then means you are until you're not. And until you're not, the monstrous moves that can accelerate to magnificent proportions becomes into play. A 38%, 50% up day is live. Or the probability odds for that to occur today or tomorrow during this time frame is significantly higher than almost all the previous days we've had. Back in here, it was well overextended. And it went up 15, 21, 30%. I mean, I can't read it well, but 30%. And we still may have not seen anything yet. We might have 120% up there. I'm not saying that'll happen. And in fact, it's an extreme low probability, but it's higher than it was 2 weeks ago, 2 months ago, and most certainly 8 months ago. And that's really what it comes down to. So I can just go through the numbers, see how it plays out, do the best that I can with it. And again, I need those Fibonacci numbers. So let's put them in. And I've already put another Fibonacci line in because I did a pre-recording of the video and it didn't record the audio. So I'm redoing it. It's the next key level above 9,814. But before we get to that, let's grade, if you will, every single level of Fibonacci I have remaining. There were two shorter term ones I had in the 3000s. Those are so long gone, as is the first 4100. But how did it play out? This doesn't count. This was just coincidental that it was there. Because I take high of about 20,000 divided by low of about 3129 to the root of, well, this one is like 15%ish in that area. It's the Fibonacci number near 15%. So it's great for resistance. It most certainly was, and it successfully corrected it because it, even though it was still below the lows, it made the higher low enough to meet up with it, corrected it again, stay within it, and now, as we can see with this rising, it got above it. So whenever you see that, that gives you patterns. You know, breaking at above 43.22, we were going to about 5,000. So how was that about 5,000 for resistance? It wasn't any. And let's go to the daily time frame for further grading. We can see that for 2 days it was support. That was it. And maybe that can be the excuse to why it wasn't a fast move to 63.40. Because the school of thought that I have had pretty much during my entire time of trading, I learned this early, is if you don't get resistance support where you're supposed to, it's just going to keep flying, man. It's just going to keep going, going, and going. Big time. And when you have a situation, when you have a 1 day move to go up here, and then for it to take 5 weeks, about 35, 37 or so periods, that's a long time to get to the level. That's not a fast move. So when things happen normally, you find your resistance here, then you can just get your normal moves to it. And it's not too uncommon to have this happen, but you would have expected it to like We'll resist this, take some time, and then have a fast-ish move. But to go from point resistance to the next level in that time, that's slow period. But it is what it was. The move from, okay, let's just see how well, because I know this is a pretty decent log chart. What percentage of this line move here, this resistance on April the 3rd at about 53.5 almost, what percentage do you think this is from here to here? Well, what we can do is we can take the high of 63.4190. We take this low of 48.4196. And we take this high of 5,345. The mathematical equation is the following. Log, I don't know how you would calculate this using a pen and paper, but on a calculator, log of 53.45 divided by 48.41.96 or 48.42 divided by log the high of 63.41.9 or 63.42 and divide that by the low, and it gets to a number around 36.6%, which if it's about 30, 35, 36, really about that's about as high as 40% even. 42, that's a Pierce extra. Once you get to that 50% number, it's almost a lights out situation. So then, grading of this level, it was support, it was not resistance, and it successfully did its job in going to its next target of 63.41. Grading that number. Well, resistance, none. Support, none. And using that same mathematical calculation, let's change it up. Okay, so the high before was 63.41.9. Now that's the low. Of course, you can get a div because you can't divide by 0 in this, is what the math would be doing. Okay, so then what's the next number we're looking at? 9,814.08. As far as where the current price is at 78.24, we'll do 78.25 as if it matters. That's 48%. The high is already 79.80. That's 52.6%. That's a little overextended on the mathematics. I'm looking at this, and I really do mean a little. Okay, so if it's 10%, 15% above, in between, that's most certainly a Pierce above. 25, 30% noticeable Pierce above. 40%, that's a large Pierce. 50% is just, it's just starting to go too wild. 64%, 62%, it's over. It's there. It's going to 98 kind of deal. There's nothing more for me to say other than, and I'm going to probably say more, but there's nothing more to say rather than the grading is it was not resistance, only a couple days after the fact. It's not support. Thus, there's really only, the high probability tells me 98.14 is next target. Not much more else to say but that. But continuing on the numbers from where I wanted to play on, I got 12,930 on there. So we'll even say 13,000 for an even scale. That is the next target. And I have to say this when I get to every single time when I get to a key level of support or resistance, what the next levels are there after that. If it does stop going up right now, then I'll still be looking for support at 63.50. That'll be that. I mean, that's the next one. Then after that, I'll be looking towards the 18 average and 5,000. But for now, the target area is a move to 10,000. Support is the last number before 63.50. That's where I'll be looking to go in any down move. And I usually and oftentimes when I have these 23.6 and 76.4% targets, will say, meh, when it comes to these key levels, and maybe I should have at 48.50 because that was a 23.6. But I wasn't really saying mad to that because of how it proceeded its move from the 3100 to 4100 range. I am saying meh here at 1293 if we're having a fast move to 10. Because if we do not find resistance at 10, my next target, and these numbers are going to start to go wild and insane, but I got no choice. It's a wild and insane environment. If we don't find resistance at 10,000, I'm expecting a fast move to 20,000. The allocation of time I think it would take to do it would be between 2 to 28 days, ish. So that's a lot. I mean that it's just a fast move, but it could happen in 2 days. 40% one day, and then maybe another like 40% or whatever it would take the next day, or 25%, 60%, whatever. Or maybe even just one day where it doubles, because we're at the situation of major overextension. And everyone says, oh, it's overextended, it's got to go down. Yeah, it does. It does. And more times than not, right now, it probably will. So when I'm talking about these 20,000, you could call them pipe dreams or whatnot, I prefer to say low probability, high probability. Okay, well, low probability is, yeah, the chances we see 20,000 in the next month, much, much lower than 50%. That's low probability. High probability is in the chances we have a move, which right now would be one of about, but where do we have to go from here? 150%, 150%. The chances of a 150% move, 2.5x. From this point moving forward in the next, say, 35 days, we'll say, is a lot higher than it was back when we were at 3,500. It was definitely a lot higher back when we were at 6,500 here. A lot higher than it was back when we were at 8,500 when we were in the 18. And even a lot higher than it was back in here after the first sudden move lower. But it was still pretty high then too. Compared to, of course, other normal periods of extreme low probability odds. And it's always low chances of anything sick like that. But as it goes, when it was overextended back in here, okay, oh, what's the chances of like a 2.5x move in the fast move? Well, it's not the greatest, but it's a lot higher than it was before. Oh, it happened. Okay, well, how do you do? Because that was about a what 2.8x move, 2.7. We're in those wild, wild moves. If we don't find resistance at 20,000. HOLY space SHIT. I mean, um, man, it's it's like twice in a blue moon that would happen. Not once in a blue moon, not 8 times in a blue moon, not 12. And I say that because all these sick gains and sick moves. Oh, Bitcoin is going to go up 10%, 15% in a day, like 12 times in a blue moon. The stock market goes up that 12% or 5% in a day once in a blue moon or twice in a blue moon, where Bitcoin does 10 or 12% more times than that. That's just the nature of this beast, the nature of the cryptocurrencies. I try to point this out from the most unbiased level that I can. I think I do a pretty good job of it. I don't know how other analysts are talking about this up move. I don't know if they were saying it was coming or not. I really don't follow them too much. I really, really don't. I know what they've said, and when I say they, I mean dozens and dozens and dozens of people over the last 10 years in different videos on markets. Most notably, Brian Shannon from Alpha Trends, because that's who I've learned from, and that's who I still watch just because of just for entertainment purposes nowadays, and whatever little tidbits he can throw in here and there. Because it's great learning, and I'm hoping I'm doing the same thing with people as well, as just making my ideas your own in different ways. Because most certainly, if you watch his videos, you probably find a few comparisons to different things here and there that are very similar. But a lot of ideologies, a lot of things are totally different. And his strategy works for him. My strategy works for me. And I would have to say for yourself, whichever strategies you could develop, I'm hoping can work for yourself too. And that's really where I'm trying to go on from here. All right then, this is another long video as we move into some wild moves. Monthly chart, let's just take a quick look at that, and I'm going to do that on Bitstep. Before I do, let's just take a look at the state of the other markets. Litecoin's up, DGB's up to a 1.1 cent. Gold's up 1%. Silver, gold and silver ratio is up 1%. So interesting dichotomy here where we see on gold just quickly. Gold is trying to break from the, let's go to the daily. Gold's having a significant break above its intended level as was showing strength at the 18 average of highs for one period. And it got above these levels of resistance and it's had a phenomenal move. Silver is only up 0.13%, so it's pretty much a break-even day, and it's showing weakness at the 18 average of lows for its second consecutive day. So a tale of two coins there. But that's not really what I wanted to show. What I wanted to show is how down are some of these markets. Doji's at 34 now. I said in my last video when it was at 36, 37, that if it got to 32, that's when I'd probably consider putting a deposit, and I'd probably consider buying it about, hope to get 30, 31. Vercoin 54, I'm still a decent ways from my next buy there. Komodo, it depends on the Litecoin ratio, but getting closer. My ratios are a little far off from any type of trades. So there's really not much more to do. DGB, yeah, DGB's up against the dollar. You're down 4% against Bitcoin, when Bitcoin is up 13%. What does that tell you about DGB? I guess I could show you DGB against, that's Bitcoin dominance. It's like 62.5 now. But DGB at 1.1 cent. I mean, the whole calculated by trading view is all meh, whatever. It's just hanging in there, ranging. But I can't say so much about this. I guess like if I were to give a lesson here, and I don't count this as because this data is so skewed. I can get this on the tether, but I want to talk about this now before I go to this against the tether, which will give me a more accurate view. If you have a situation, you're just chopping around in here. It's the most noticeable range-bound market in here. And then if you ever get a situation where you have like 3 or 4 candles like this, where you have a little pierce above and a little pierce below, that's telling you that a big move is happening soon. More than anything, but I gotta think if I go DGB USDT that it's gonna look a little bit different. Let's do tether against here. Yeah, it looks a lot different. It's really just hanging in there with Bitcoin more than anything. But as far as the pattern's concerned, you have all of this in here going sideways from this decline. Then you have this green candle up day that gets above the 18 average, so it's a attempt to, well, definitely neutral. You've already neutralized the market. That's a confirmed neutralization of the market, and it's an attempt to try to do something about reverting the trend. And that's just it. You're just speaking. You're just saying you want to do it. This is what I want to do. Like I want to quit drinking, whatever. Okay, well now go ahead and do it. You come back down, red candle down. Okay, well, you're allowed to come back to where you came from, and let's see a hold and stay above the 10522 number. You're technically closed below it. That's why I don't care what a close number is. But okay, so this been here. We still got this downtrend here, but a little bit above it. It's right now at the 18 highs. It's had an attempt above it. Fine and dandy. Strong hold of the neutralization, most certainly, in place. But it's got to get above this level for me to say that this would be that of reversal or resumption of trend. Well, I can make a case for either way, either one. If you consider this a new bear market in here, well, the bear market was very small, and that's a strong side in itself. But if you were using this as in like, okay, we're establishing a level of support. Oh, wait a second here, it's not going down further. We were in an uptrend, were we not? Not really, no. In fact, no. Let me just, after looking at everything else in here, I'm going to finish this video off within this point. So I'll entitle it bonus DGB coverage on the title at the end. But you have this level of key support in here. You then go on to resist this area as such in here. One higher low in here, retested unsuccessfully. Within the unsuccessful test, the leg lower does have a higher low to this key point. Okay, well, now you have retest here of this, which then comes back down and it breaks out. And okay, now another a leg higher. Not too small, not too big. I would have liked to see a little bit bigger, but it's definitely not small. Or not too small, that is. Comes back down, successful support. Retest of level, doesn't break it. And unsuccessful support in here. So now, what it's trying to do, you got this low, this low here, which is a must find a higher low. So what biggest low here? Pretty close. A pretty big area. Because if it fails in here, you see weakness, then this would tell me that all of everything that happened February into April is a failure. But if it's able to hold, stay above this area, stay within this range and show momentum, then we're getting that resumption of what it was trying to do up here. And trying to do in the whole meantime of this thing. And that is, and I'm trying to wait for everything to load so I can say it. I guess maybe I don't got the data for it, I guess. And that is, of course, to just end what has been a very long overall decline because these highs were much greater than 5 cents. And then work towards those levels, which I think are closer to a dime or 15 cents, or 20 cents even. Thank you for tuning in. Have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.